It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Been recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationship with the University of Miami.
Patton, another good block, and Toretto lays it out.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Ferman of Kingsport.com, Lamar Thomas.
There he is, Santa Claus. He's come early to the Lamar Thomas Show. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman. He's LT, Lamar Thomas, and he's rocking the Christmas stuff from Caneswear.
Man, this is sweet.
Presenting sponsor of the Lamar Thomas Show, and we welcome everybody on what we know are not the happiest of times for Miami Hurricanes fans, but hopefully in these next couple hours we can bring a smile to your face. We've got the great Bryant McKinney scheduled to come on with us tonight. Fingers crossed. The great Benny Blades scheduled to come on with us tonight, and so hopefully over the course of the next couple hours we can have a little bit of fun. LT, you know, I saw you in the open there, standing up at the dais at the Hall of Fame, entertaining everybody. Yeah. And I hope you brought your A material this evening, because Saturday was a rough one at Hard Rock Stadium. No doubt about it. Florida State wins going away, and national TV. Even you were up in the broadcast booth doing your thing for Touchdown Radio.
That's right. And
but I think we should start doing the radio broadcast of the game. Kind of gave you a unique opportunity to get some tidbits, I think, of information that you maybe wouldn't normally have gotten, because you're doing a lot of prep for the broadcast, so that obviously you can comment on both teams going forward. Why don't we start off the show tonight by you just telling us a little bit about what you saw and you know, what you heard.
Well, the great thing about it, I got to walk around the stadium beforehand, pregame, talking to our coaches and Florida State's coaches, and you know, interesting perspective from the guys on the other side. You know, they were looking across at our team, and you know, they had studied us for a long time, and they had been waiting on this game for a long time. And to hear some of the comments, you know, one in particular from Odell Haggins, who's been coaching there a long time, who played back in the 80s, been there a long time, Florida State for lifer. He looked across the field and he said, LT, let me tell you something. You guys are, that team is where we were 3 years ago. And I looked at him, he said, yeah, it's going to take a while. right now we love this guy who we're coaching for. We've gotten rid of some guys. We've made coaching changes. We've made staff changes. We've had guys transfer in and out. We've lost fans. We've gained fans. A lot of things happen. But if you stay the course, it could come back and it could be magical. And that's where he said, we're getting so many of these guys back. We're ready tonight. And he asked me what I thought about the game. And I said, well, Odell, I can tell you this. If the guys on my side, that other side, because I remember I'm doing the broadcast, I couldn't say our side. The guys on the other side of the field, if they realize that this is a rivalry game, it could be a good one. But if they don't, it's going to be a blowout. And that was my thinking. And that was primarily because, just by watching this team and, I'm hoping that, when I watched them in warm-ups and I watched all the, sometimes it's fake enthusiasm, sometimes it's not, or maybe that team is just better. I just think that right now, just like Odell said, they're in a better place. And, Mario, he came in with high expectations. And, everybody jumped on board. And because what he got and what he gave up and what he brought in, there were these expectations. But at the same time, you still have to build a team. And that's where they've fallen short this year of building a team. And I'm sitting there talking to these other coaches, and they're talking about things as far as the locker room and this and that. And these are Florida State. They're talking about the way it is in their locker room and the team pulling together, guys are coming back and all this other stuff. And here it is, I'm talking to our coaches, and they're talking about the issues of them trying to manufacture points. They're talking about obviously doing the right things on defense, making the right calls. Hopefully the guys communicate better and making tackles. See, these are things that they're dealing with when the other side wasn't dealing with these things. They're dealing with, just playing the game. And it looks like two different teams that were out there. One team was out there enjoying it, and obviously the other team was not enjoying it. And it showed up in the scoreboard.
All right, the Lamar Thomas Show is sponsored, as always, by Caneswear, where Lamar is right now. Caneswear is your stop to get all your Miami Hurricanes gear and obviously holiday gifts for family members, friends. Look at that shirt, man.
Yeah, this is nice,
that Lamar is wearing. That's a new one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We've never seen that one before.
Yeah,
wow, that is quite a design there, Lamar.
Oh yeah, this is and it feels good. I'm gonna be rocking this on some golf course in the next couple of weeks.
Golf course?
Before I go to the XFL, can't forget about that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else I like. I like that black sweatshirt behind you.
Yeah,
I'm eyeing that one.
Yeah, this is nice. This is real nice.
Wow.
Kinda lightweight. It's kind of lightweight too.
That's a nice looking sweatshirt.
You can wear that up at Georgia Tech.
Yeah. The Hurricanes go on to Georgia Tech. It's going to be flooded in Atlanta. I may have to reconsider this road trip. I'll tell you.
Hey, I just hope I can get it at home. I mean, I don't have to go out to a bar or something to watch the game. So we'll see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. We're back on regional sports networks.
Right.
I think this week.
Right.
Unreal. And the show is also sponsored by the law office of Christine Rosendahl, Esquire, PA. You see her number at the bottom of the screen, 561-512-6199. Christine Rosendahl, ESQPA at hotmail.com. You've heard her talk about it. You've heard us talk about her all through the season. If you ever get in trouble, you're in South Florida and you need somebody to help you, bail you out of a jam or something, you call Christine Rosendahl, and she will come to the rescue and take care of you. And LT, who's feeding you tonight?
Oh, this is Mission Barbecue.
All right.
Okay, I got let's see what I got here. Oh my goodness. Look at all these fries in here with a pulled pork.
They loaded you up on the fries.
Woo, wait, I usually get a double. I usually eat it actually before the broadcast, but because my father and my mother, they don't like me eating while we're doing the show. So I'll just sit this aside and once we go to split screens and bring Bruce in, I might nibble a little bit. Hi, Mom and Dad. Hi.
All right. So you mentioned 3 years. FSU thinks they're 3 years ahead of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 2 years, and here's why, Lamar. I think with the transfer portal and the rules right now that allow you to bring in as many players as you can as long as you don't go over the 85 limit, I think that allows Mario Cristobal to accelerate this rebuild. And I think we're going to see – I mean, they might as well put train tracks outside the football complex and just have train tracks right to the transfer portal after the season, because I think we're going to see 20 to 30 guys go into the transfer portal. Some are going to want to go there themselves voluntarily. And I think some are going to be told, listen, we need you to go to the portal. You're not going to play here. It's time that we need to free up your spot, and you got to go to the portal. And as a new head coach, he has that type of autonomy to where he can non-renew scholarships to that degree. And I expect that there to be 30, maybe guys, 20 to 30 guys exiting the program.
Maybe a quarterback. Maybe a quarterback or two.
I think a quarterback or two could be on that list without question. And we can talk about that a little bit. And so that would free up somewhere in the neighborhood of, 35 to 40 spots. And I see them taking 25 to 30 high school kids and another, 10 transfers maybe. And I can see them having a chance to rebuild this roster really, really quick, Lamar, if they can make those scholarships count. Your thoughts?
Well, the thing, when you talk about all these guys coming in and out, the biggest thing to me, and it's about building that culture. Your culture has to be right inside the building, because you can bring in these guys and they can be turds. Some of them can be turds. But if you have the majority of guys all bought in, they become minority, those turds, and you run them off. But if the majority of that locker room is shitbirds or turds, then that's what you're going to produce. And then the minority becomes, they're just good guys, but they can't do it. So, as I'm doing the game and as I'm doing the broadcast, I realized that Florida State just had just as many transfers. They had a lot of guys that, especially on the receiving corps, that transferred from other programs.
And that running back was one of Mario's
one of Mario's guys. So, but at the same time, you have to build that culture, and the culture has to stick, and it has to be the majority, and it just can't be the coaches. It starts with those players, because in that locker room, that's where it all goes down. They're the disgruntled players, they're the happy players, and they're the players that just getting their NIL money. They're the guys that probably jealous of another guy getting NIL money. There's so much other stuff that's going on in that locker room. I can't say I know for sure, but I can only imagine, because there even with our great culture back in the day, there were little things going on, but they were quickly put out by the leaders who said, no, hell no, y'all leave that outside, bro. Take that, and they better not come back in here, or it's gonna be trouble.
Right.
And so the culture was already within, but there's just so much stuff going on. And when you have guys transfer, and you're taking their issues and their problems and what they've learned, and you're trying to put them all into what you're trying to build, and it has to be the right guys. Now, a guy like KJ Osborne comes in, and he's the perfect guy. That receiver that's now with the Minnesota Vikings, he was the perfect guy for your team, because he made things happen, and he was a leader. But how many other guys can you say that have come here and been leaders in that locker room? We don't know. And it's definitely not showing on the field, because it's not translating. You have there are penalties. There's a lot of things going on that's just not right within the program. So I know, knowing Mario and those coaches, they got a lot of good coaches on their staff. It's driving them nuts, but they got to figure it out and get it right.
Yeah, we've talked so much about culture and got to change the culture. I don't know that it's about changing the culture anymore. I think when you're bringing this many new faces into the program in back-to-back years, you're creating a culture. And hopefully for Mario Cristobal, that's the way this plays out. Let's bring the the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, into the show. And
What's up, guys? Big weekend.
Yeah.
Look at LT, man. Woohoo!
Like
Man,
this, huh?
that looks good on you. That's like your nicest outfit of the season so far, by far. Looks great.
Thank you. You're
very welcome.
So Bruce,
you might as well be pleasant because after we get done with this,
well, it is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
It is what it is at this point. And we were just talking about Odo Hagen said to Lamar, 3 years, we're 3 years ahead of them now. And I was saying that I am not sure it's 3 years because of the new system. They're going to be able to turn this roster very, very quickly if they make it count. And man, I'm telling you, I've been seeing meeting a lot of these recruits, Lamar, that are in this recruiting class. Wow. You got some offensive linemen that look like they should be in the NFL draft right now. Seriously. And they're going to be getting bigger, stronger, better up front. They got to do it on the defensive side too. But you could just see the way they're recruiting. They're going to be competitive, of course, in the NIL arena, which is appealing to kids. And Mario's going to continue to be able to recruit. And these are tough times right now. But you could see where this could be, another year or two down the road.
Well, Bruce, you want to handle it first? Because I got a lot to say.
I mean, I listen, I was on with Gary last night, and there's so much negativity. But I look at this. With this recruiting class, and they're not done. If they wind up with Bain, Selwyn's son, Damari, and they get Samson Aculia, whatever his last name is, look at the offensive line. You got to assume Zion will be back. You got Inez Cooper, who's like, he was playing great. I mean, he's a kid, makes mistakes, but look at the size of him. Then you had the two kids, Malgoa and Samson. Look, and I don't know if Rivers is going to be healthy or not, but what running back wouldn't want to play behind their quarterback behind that massive offensive line? So there's a lot to look forward to. And he's bringing in all these kids that are really, really good. Then, as Gary said, the transfer portal. So I do believe next year they're going to be very young for the most part. They're not going to win 11 games. But I think in 24, look out, because he's got the portal this year and all the recruiting from next year to do a lot of damage. And I think he's going to spin this around in 2 years. I just do. And I have a lot of faith in the guy. I don't like what's happening. I know you don't. I did say last week you were going to get blown out. And I've been saying it for 8 shows so far, or 9 shows, which you'll have to agree, LT. They don't have any defensive tackles. Their defense against the run. I don't care if people think Taylor's great or Jackson's great. They're not Cortez or Russell or Jerome. They're just not. They're nice kids. They're good players, but they're not. Yeah, but they're not there yet. They need to get bigger and stronger. But I listen, look at all the defense. Look at the linebackers they're bringing in, and we always forget about Moss. Gary, what is Moss going to be? A D end or an outside linebacker?
He'll be a D end, I think. But he's got to, stay in the weight room. Yeah, and they're working on that.
Hey, did you guys get sick of seeing the one play that Florida State ran over and over and over
32
again?
times, Lamar. 32 of them. 32 counter run plays.
Yep. Oh my goodness! They realized early they couldn't go east and west, and they just said, "Hell, we're just gonna pound it, and we're gonna pull. We're gonna pull our offensive linemen, counter on you, and just beat the hell out of your guys trying to set the edge, and your linebackers coming up, and we're gonna pound them. And then when your corners or your safeties come up, we're gonna either run them over, break the tackle, or fake them out." I mean, it was, unfortunately, still had some great calls. Guys were in great position, but they couldn't make the play.
You don't make the plays. LT, I remember saying to you again all season, it was 3rd and 17 or 18 for FSU. You know what they threw? A screen. First down. I mean, come on. That's what you do when you know the rush is coming. But that's why people question Gaddis, because I don't give a damn what he did in Michigan. I didn't watch them anyhow. But down here, you know the pass rush is coming. That's what it's designed for. If you looked it up in the dictionary, it'll tell you what it's for. I don't understand this.
They also ran the 2 games I saw. They always threw a wheel route to the running back.
Yeah.
They got us. They caught us in a defense where our defensive lineman, number 6,
was covering him.
And he had no chance.
That's Jackson.
They caught us. I mean, they whooped us. They whooped us. And to all the Florida State fans out there, I apologize for picking at you guys and calling it Tallahassee and all that other stuff, and talking about how could you go to play in a city where after church on Sunday, the only thing that's popping is the Piccadilly line and the what was the other restaurants? Golden Corral. No pro games. There's nothing. So I apologize, all you Florida State fans. Hey, good win. Beat the Crocodiles.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. Good win. Hey, you guys were just better.
I hate it.
Yeah, well, it was just a bad night. It was
to
watch that and have to stay the whole game because I couldn't leave because I'm in the broadcast booth. And I couldn't say, well, here's the thing. Gino kept sending me, he would hold up a note like in the first quarter, like this, and it said basically, don't say we, our, my. This is a national game. Don't say that. But it became pretty evident after like the first quarter. He didn't have to tell me that. I was trying to escape from saying we and my and ours. And I would say, hey, look at Miami over there. Look at Coach Cristobal, and he needs to do this and this. It was bad, man.
Yeah, you have to say they, not us.
They that was like, no, I just kept saying Miami needs to do this and Miami needs to do that.
Lamar, and all the teams that you ever played for, have you ever been in this situation as a player coming off a loss like that? I mean, I know that the national championship game against Bama was
that was it. We didn't
bad,
have games after that.
You didn't have a game the next week.
No.
Did you ever in the NFL have a week like this or anything that you had to bounce back from?
I played for the Yuccaneers for 3 years. Of course we did. And actually,
how do you do it? How do you bounce back from that experience and get yourself ready to go for really 6 days later? Because you're leaving the stadium at midnight basically, and now you got to go to Georgia Tech this week, and might be a little wet up there still. They're going to get a lot of rain on Friday, and how do you get ready for that, Lamar? How do you press on?
You put a lot of emphasis on the mistakes. Getting over the mistakes, going over them as quickly as you can, and trying to move on. Because you can't really dwell on it too much. If you dwell on it too much, then it brings a cloud over your building. And you have to remember that, let's say if you play on a Monday night and you get beat down, then it's kind of like that. You got to get ready. It's a short week, so you kind of got to get ready. And you have to make sure that guys, the coaches and the guys, go over those mistakes and quickly get it behind them, and we get better, and you just trying to focus on the next week. So
what about the psychology of it, LT? What about the psychology? Forget about the X's and the O's. The psychology of these kids after they just got the crap beat out of them.
Well, that's why.
How do you get them ready for that?
Well, that's the whole thing of going over it just like that. And as a coaching staff, I would think that in that coaching staff, you're basically saying, hey, we got our ass beat, and we have to go over the mistakes. Let's get it done, but let's move on to Georgia Tech, because you can't dwell on it. They know they got there. I mean, when they go to class, people are going to look at them funny. Hell, when you go to the restaurant, people are going to look at you funny. I mean, you drive your Tesla, people are going to look at you funny. I mean, these are things that's going to happen. So you just got to get it. You got to get it out of there. You got to get it out of your system. You got to go over all the mistakes you made and quickly as possible get on to the next game. Because if you dwell on it, like I said, the psychology is if you stay at it for 2 days, they're still going to be in the funk.
Yeah.
They're still going to be thinking about it.
As coaches, they need to move on quickly.
They need to move on too.
Almost because we've already positivity if they can. What would you do as the offensive coordinator going into this next game? Would you simplify things? Would you just say, listen, we can't be doing all this stuff. We got to figure out what we can do. Maybe even try to run the ball if they can, if they have enough bodies in the offensive line, because those quarterbacks are getting their ass kicked. And I would expect Georgia Tech's going to come after them too. Why wouldn't they?
Well, it all depends on who are you going to play at quarterback. What are you going to play all three? I don't know what I don't know what's going on. I mean, I was confused at the quarterback rotation. I thought Jake was the number 2. I didn't know the young kid. It was Jakari. I didn't know he was Jakari. I didn't know he was the number 2. And then your plan for him was kind of vanilla as far as Florida State knew exactly. I saw them line up one time in 2 wide nines, knowing that they were going to run the ball on the zone read type play. I mean, you know, you don't really throw it much at him. I don't know if his package was small enough, but it was just weird to see. And, you know, I talked to Frank Ponce before the game, and who was offensive coordinator. He thinks a lot of the
quarterback's
kids.
coach.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
I didn't need to preface that. My fault. He is the quarterback's coach. And he thinks the world of the kid. He thinks this kid will be a great player in time. He says, man, he has a strong arm. We know he can run. We keep him in the pocket in practice to work on him throwing the football. They think the world of him. He said, hey, I think this kid could be the next Charlie Ward. He believes that. And he, you know, from what I saw, it was a small package. I you know, if you're going to put that guy in there, I guess you want to keep it as simple as you can. But that other team wasn't having it. Right. They were okay with that simple package because it was almost like they knew exactly what we were running.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
He's limited as to what he can do. He doesn't really have the follow through. His footwork is really bad, and you know, and you look at it and you got to realize he may be there for some gadget throws, but to stand in the pocket and throw, I think that's dangerous.
Yeah, so, he is not a polished thrower at this stage. I mean, I was kind of surprised. Lamar, we're watching practice, and I mean, there were times like he was struggling to hit the net, like when they're just throwing at a net. I mean, he misfires a lot. You cannot rely on his passes, and you know, I was kind of surprised because a lot of fans were kind of excited about his presence and stuff, and then you know, I'm looking at, you know, the body of work the other night. I mean, we totally shut down the running game. I mean, there was no running game, so to speak. He ended up having 12 running carries because one was a scramble, and he gained 63 yards or something on those plays, which is not terrible. But the offense was reduced to Ja'Cory Brown basically being a battering ram, running up the middle of the field. I mean, throwing the ball, he was 5 of 9 for 37 yards, man. You can't win a college football game like this with a quarterback just running the ball up the middle and only throwing for 30-something yards. You got to be throwing for 300 yards in today's college football, the way these teams score. And I was really surprised that Josh Gaddis chose to go in that direction. And I think it showed us how spooked they are by the way that Jake Garcia has played these last few weeks. But
he won the game. He won the game.
If I can't play, I think you got to go with Garcia. And
you got to, because you can run a more complete offense.
Yeah. But he won the game. But I didn't understand. He won the game. He won the game. I don't care if it was 2-0. He won the game.
What game?
The game
Virginia
before,
game.
14-12. He won the game.
I agree.
I don't know about that. I think the field goal kicker won the game.
Yeah, but the point Lamar is making is that it didn't go perfectly, but they won, and it might have. I think if they could do it all over again, the whole musical quarterbacks thing wouldn't have happened, and I think they would have, you know, tried to go with Jake. But you know, Lamar. He had 2 turnovers in his first 3 plays.
Yeah,
against Florida State, and I can see why Gaddis and Ponce would be a little rattled by that as well. I mean, he had 5 turnovers in the Duke game. I'm trying to remember what he had against Virginia. I'd have to look at. I have the stat sheet right there. I'll look it up. But the point I'm making, he's been turning the ball over a lot. Okay, and I can see why they're spooked. But I asked Josh Gaddis this week, had he ever shown that in practice? And Josh said no. Like, they've been like kind of blindsided by his propensity to turn the ball over in these games. And I just think the best shot going into Georgia Tech, and I hope they go this route, is getting Jake Garcia straight in case Tyler Van Dyke can't go. In the meantime, in our lobby, we got a guy who I wish was on the field the other night because when he was in the game, the quarterback didn't get pressured, did not get sacked. And Miami was able to run the football with more than the quarterback draw. And that is our main man, the singer. The singer, I will add, Lamar. I saw him on America's Got Talent.
I saw that too.
Bryant McKinney. How are you, B-Mac?
How y'all doing?
What's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Good to see you.
B-Mac. Hey man, I saw that too, and I've been wondering. I have somehow we've been missing each other, bro. Because I wanted to ask you about that, but we'll save it for in a hot minute. But
Okay.
It's good to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Did you obviously we're having a little hard times here on the show, coping with the game, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I like to always start off this having guys on by, obviously talking about the University of Miami and why and how you got to the University of Miami. So share with the fans out there, why did you make the decision to come to the University of Miami?
It got to the point where it was between Miami and Arkansas for some reason. My parents pretty much was like, "Are you crazy?" And my mom, for some reason, Jerome Brown. I grew up in South Jersey. He was an Eagles player, and so I was a big fan of him and Reggie White and all those guys. And she was like, he went to the University of Miami. She just started rambling off different players who I was familiar with that all came from the University of Miami. And I was like, okay. And then it was just like a sign that Will Smith had "Welcome to Miami" song that same year. It was just like,
wow,
all these things just happening. Maybe I should go here. So I ended up Miami.
And you switched in high school from D lineman to O lineman.
Yeah.
What was that about? You gained like 70 pounds. What was that like? Did you get your mom out of the house and her home?
They told me I would have a longer career if I played offensive line instead of getting cut block being 6'8", and people would try to cut block me a lot. Try to take out my knees. So if I played offensive line, I wouldn't have to worry about that and would last longer. So I guess I made a good decision. But what's funny is what a lot of people don't know is my first year in Miami, there was a D lineman shortage, and Butch Davis was about to convert me back over to D line because they were short on D linemen. But I ended up not having to.
And was that during your red shirt year? Was that during your red shirt year?
It was on my red shirt year. He was about to convert me over.
Hey man, people don't understand how long that red shirt year. That is long, man. Because they basically just use you. They use you. You don't know what you're gonna be playing or what they're gonna use it for the practice. The switch sides, or you just don't know. And you're you're just fresh meat.
Pretty much. That first year I actually came in there. I actually kind of battled it out and rotated with number one, who was Robert Hall at the time. But then Butch called me in his office and just told me you should redshirt because it gives you an extra year to learn the plays and get really, really good and familiar. And I kind of, everybody wants to play when they first come in. I was like, nah, I feel like I earned where I was at. But it made sense later on. And then it was actually a perfect fit because if I wouldn't have redshirt, I would have left the year before the national championship team. So it all kind of fell in place. And
now, you're fast forward to your senior year, you didn't give up a sack your senior year. Did you know that was that
my
was
whole
going
career.
on? Oh shit. Yeah. My bad.
Come on, Lamar.
Clear. It wasn't just my senior year.
My fault. I just know that I came to it was a Syracuse game and the spinner. Wasn't it Freeney?
Dwight Freeney.
Yeah, he was there and I was like, oh, we finna see this. And boy, you put it on his ass.
So, all right, tell me what were you really thinking then? Because he was hyped up. He had
he was hyped up.
Spread. He had a sack, a Christmas sack with all the helmets in and everything. So what did you think then? Be honest.
I was there and I remember I think I came with Cliff Floyd. I brought Cliff Floyd to the game. And he was talking about, what about this dude Freeney? I said, dog, have you seen B-Mac? Have you ever seen him up close?
Well, you wasn't sure that you weren't really sold yet, were you?
Well, I had seen you play though. I said, I had seen you play.
Oh, okay.
So I knew. So I was telling him, I said, boy, this is gonna be a battle. And I said, but I was trying to tell him, have you ever seen this guy? He was like, nah. We came to the game and Cliff Floyd's a big old baseball player. He saw you, he said, God damn. He's a mountain. I said, so let's watch this battle all night. I mean, man, you were hitting him. I was like, I'm like, that was more of the battle of the game.
That was like a heavyweight bout.
Yeah, man.
But I knew you were gonna light him up and you did. That was great.
So in your mind, let's go back to the night before that game. What was you thinking? I mean, I know whenever you go
the night before that game, I'm gonna tell you what's funny is after we had our team meetings and everybody went back to their room, I sat down in the film room with Mario Cristobal, and we continued to watch plays. And I really tried to sit here and study what is he doing, that's throwing these offensive linemen off? Is it the offensive lineman? Is he really doing something that's really, really great? And sometimes a combination of both. Sometimes offensive linemen were late or just taking bad steps or stopping their feet. And then sometimes it was just him and his athletic ability. I had to kind of just really know when I had inside help. So if he did spin, I knew that the guard would be there. You had to just be on with him, just on your game and everything, and your awareness of who's next to you, when you're alone, when you're not alone, if it's a 3-step drop, 5-step, 7-step, like all those type of things matter to me. It mattered on how I set against him and everything. And that's really studying your opponent. I don't know if these guys study their opponent like that anymore.
See, I wanted to talk more about you, but I got to break this in and say, because we've been talking about this for this whole year, as far as guys getting hurt and injured, and you're plugging guys in, and we talked about, I know from playing the game, I never played O-line, but I know just from being around that you got to have some type of. Gary's laughing because I said I never played O-line.
Thanks for letting us know about that.
How could you? You never went in the weight room.
Captain Obvious, okay,
Right.
but there has to be some type of continuity, right? You got to know, you got to trust the guy beside you. Am I right? You got to know if he
you
sucks
definitely do,
or if he good.
You have to trust the guy. You just have to know what the guy beside you is going to do and what he tends to do too. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes the guy beside me, a lot of my career goes and helps the center. It doesn't help me. So I know I'm on my own a lot. So you just got to know that guy. And if you feel like you want some assistance, like let him know, like, hey, if you're free, come out here this week. You know what I mean? And just keep an eye on the inside for me.
So you communicate. You communicate. Yeah, that was just about, you communicate and say, hey, I might need a little help, bro. You catch him spin, he might spin on you. So just keep an eye and just bump him. Just knock him off or something, or the back.
The back on his release out, he could too.
Yes.
But that's another thing too. What's funny is when I was just in Baltimore with Ray Rice and them, we talked about that because I told him, let me know if you're going to chip. Don't catch me off guard and knock him across my face.
Right. For the fans,
we formed some type of communication so we would know, like, he'll say something like, all right, Mac, or he'll say something, and I hear him, I'm like, okay, he's coming. So let me know how I can say.
Well, it must be near impossible, B-Mac, to play 9 games this year, and I'm not even sure, Gary might know, if we've had the same 5 offensive linemen in more than one game. I don't know.
But why are these guys getting hurt so often? Like,
that's a damn good question. Why do you think?
I have no clue because, like, the guys I played with, it was not like that rare for somebody to be hurt. Like, how you're saying, like, the 5 guys haven't played together as a unit. Like, that wasn't common for me. So, I never missed a game due to injury. So, this to me just doesn't sound.
Even in the NFL, you were never hurt?
Even in the NFL, I never missed an
amazing.
Injury. I had broken hands, food poisoning, all type of stuff. I just didn't miss.
Just tape it up, huh?
It's got to be near impossible for these guys, the quarterback, the running backs, the receivers. The timing has to be off because the offensive line is not consistent. I mean, you could be looking down the field.
And it's not consistent, so the communication, the camaraderie, the communication between the two guys is not going to be the same too. Like, you may assume because you're used to somebody being next to you, but now it's a different person, so their style of play is totally different too. So that factors things in too. So, yeah.
Well, they have a recruit by the name of Samson Okinola, who I met face to face the other night for the first time, and he reminded me of you, Bryant. He is a big kid, and
he has good feet.
Supposedly, I wasn't watching him on the field.
I have good feet, so I like being big. I was big with good feet.
Well, he looks like he's getting ready for the first round of the NFL draft coming out of high school. So he's a big priority in this recruiting class. I think they're going to get him, and we're going to see him be a 3-year starter here, I believe. But hopefully you'll be around and they'll get you out there a little bit and you get to meet him because he looks to me like a young Bryant McKinney. I remember when you came into the program, and I just see a lot of you see a lot of physical similarities, and
right.
And he should be a pretty darn good player from Miami. But I know what I wanted to ask you. I want to know what the heck were you doing on America's Got Talent?
I'll tell you what's funny is you have NFL Players Choir, and the lady who put it together, name is Melanie Few. Her and my mom are friends, so let me say back in like 2005, somewhere around there, 2007. She had asked my mom for me to join be a part of the choir. It's normally during Super Bowl weekend. They have a gospel event. And I've done it a few times. And then even during COVID, they had something. And I joined in during COVID and did some things. And then they had an opportunity to go on America's Got Talent. And she reached back out and asked me to come on and be a part. But when the original email that came out, it read as if we were just going on as like not contestants, but like a guest, the parents are a guest spot. So, when I was there, that's what I thought. When we were there for the audition, I thought like, oh, we're just on the guest spot, like, we're doing a little rehearsal, stuff like that. And then we met what's the host's name? I can't remember his name.
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, yeah. We met him and he said something to us about like, getting like, oh, we need to get 3 X's and stuff like that. I'm like, 3 X's for what? Like, you know what I mean? And I wasn't the only one because there were 2 emails that went out. I read the first one. I didn't read the second one. The second one, I guess, said that we were contestants. And it was like 3 other guys, like kind of in the same boat as me. Like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, and we walked away. I was like, why are you talking about 3 X's? And they're like, oh, because, we get 3 X's, we go to the next round. I'm like, the next round? And here we found out we were actually contestants. And that was the audition part. So we went to the semifinals. And we actually got called back. Simon voted us back. The judge get to bring one act back out of all the acts. And Simon picked us as a wild card. But then you had to vote for out of the 4. But we didn't win in the voting. So another a lady, she won. And she went back for the finals.
But now you're really a singer, right?
No. Karaoke.
Did you tell me you were making an album or something?
No, I put out a project on an artist back in 2009. I got nominated for 3 Grammys, but it wasn't me singing. Being co-executive producer.
Oh, okay. I thought you had told me you were singing when I last saw you a few months back.
I could ask Devin.
Okay, so all right. Now since we got the singing part out, okay, I want to ask you about these organizations you played for. The Minnesota Vikings, the Baltimore Ravens, especially the Baltimore Ravens and their organization. I mean, I was strictly a Florida guy. So the only thing I knew was Tampa Bay and the Dolphins. But, I always, when we played in the Metrodome, that's how old I am. We played up there. And then obviously the Baltimore Ravens, we played, I forgot, we played at some stadium before they got their stadium. So tell me a little bit about those 2 organizations. Because, I know
played
the Ravens
Metrodome too when I first got there.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're a little old like me. Yeah.
Those organizations, when I first got there, you had Ray McCombs. He was the owner. He was older, and I think kind of like, I guess they kind of looked at him as a little cheap. I feel like when Ziggy Wilf and them came in, they came in and really wanted, to kind of like upgrade the program. And they were, excited new owners and, willing to do whatever it takes to make their, their program successful. So you could tell the energy changed when they came in.
And by the way, Mo Williams speaks the world of you.
Oh yeah, Mo. Yeah, Mo's
coach
cool,
with
yeah.
Mo.
And his
Mo.
family, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like when Ziggy and them came in, you could tell the change, and they were, in the learning phase. They had to learn the business too. They just became owners, things like that. They're New Jersey guys as well. I got a chance to talk with them a lot. But when I went to Baltimore, there was a difference as far as like when I left Minnesota to go to Baltimore. Minnesota still had like the old school playbooks, where Baltimore had like the little iPads, like they were a little more advanced. Right. And then, like, even when you went to like go on the treadmill, you could zip yourself up into this thing in Baltimore.
Oh yeah, and it takes the weight off. It takes the weight off your leg.
Yeah, the pressure off your joint.
Yeah.
So they were a little more advanced, but I can see now that Minnesota, they have a new training facility, new everything. Everything's new. So I see Minnesota's caught up and definitely probably upgraded since. But during that time period of me leaving Minnesota to go to Baltimore, I could see technology-wise, Baltimore was a little more advanced.
And then at Baltimore, also, you got to play alongside of some of your,
first time
Miami
I had a hurricane on my team.
Wow.
I spent 9 years in Minnesota with no canes ever coming.
No canes.
No canes ever. So then I got to Baltimore. It was like 5 of them. You had like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and Damian Barry and Streeter. And I think it was like T. Good had just left.
T Good. Yeah, T
Yeah,
Good.
he had just left though. He wasn't there the whole season.
What about D Starks? Was he still there?
No, Dwayne Starks wasn't there by the time I got there.
So what was that like playing alongside the Miami guys?
Well, you know, it gave me and Ed a chance to link back up from college. You know,
Right. Correct.
So I was familiar with Ed, and then actually the center. What made it better was the center was my center in Minnesota for my first 7 years. Matt Burke had went there. You know,
Matt Burke.
my 8th and 9th year, he was in Baltimore already. So when I came back, I was able to link up with him. And I was very familiar with him and how he calls things out. So that made things a lot easier. And then, you know, Ray's the reason why I pretty much went there, because it kind of tried to bully me into coming there.
Wait. He bullied you into coming there?
When I left Minnesota, I was trying to just see what other teams I fit. So like Indianapolis Colts was an option. It was just different teams.
Was Ed's there?
Ed was there too, but Ray
Right.
was T Good hit me first and said, "Ray Lewis wants your number." I said, "All right." And Ray called, and Ray was like, "Oh, you coming here? You did miss a piece of it up." I was like, "All right, but let me just see what other teams, you know, we'll see where else I fit." Good. They had the whole blind side. Michael Orr, like he played left tackle. I'm like, I'm not playing right tackle, so let me see where else. Like, and he's like, "Don't worry about that. He'll move to right." I'm like, I don't want to come in there if this man don't want to move to right, and you know what I'm saying, to be like tension. And he said, "You don't worry about that. I got everything." So it just was like days will go by, like a day will go by. He's like, "Mac, what's taking so long?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I already talked to Ozzy. What's your agent doing?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm just trying to miss a couple days at camp as well." But
Yeah.
really
Doing
like,
that old vet move.
Yeah, I'm also really trying to see like other options.
Right.
And then he must have told Ed to call me, because then Ed didn't call. Ed like, "Bro, you might as well come here. We team back up again, you know, like in college." And
Wait.
was
Edgerrin still at Indianapolis at the time, or was he gone?
Was Ed? I think at least Reggie was there. I'm not sure.
At least somebody, I knew somebody was going.
Yeah, Reggie was still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what Reggie was saying?
You know, Reggie was open for me to come there, but
right
between now it became a double team with Ray and Ed calling. And at first it was just Ray a lot, and then I hit my agent, and he was like, "Yeah, we're working on things. Baltimore has been calling." And then Ray was like, "I told him your locker gonna be by mine, and I'm gonna help you this and other." And I was like, "All right." So I was like, I might as well go there.
Well, who else besides Indianapolis and Baltimore? You must have had.
I couldn't really get to anybody else because it was like they just was like harassing me so much.
They scared the rest of the teams away, huh?
Yeah, and it just kept calling my agent, calling me. And I was like, "All right, let's just." And I just like wanted to make sure it was clear that Mike is okay with moving to the right.
And who was?
And they said, "Yeah, he wanted to be over there with Marciana, so he's okay with it." So I was like, "All right." And what's funny is I just came from Michael Orr's wedding on Saturday. I went out to Nashville for his wedding.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
He did move to the right side. Did he ever make the Pro Bowl from the right side?
I'm not even sure, because I was going there for like 2.5 years.
Oh, okay.
And so you ended up with the Dolphins.
I came here. So after leaving Baltimore, like even Minnesota, I came to the Dolphins. I just felt like that locker room, it wasn't no real leader like in there. That locker room was like just all over the place, kind of like they just did whatever. And then, you know, my day 5 there was like that whole bullying thing started.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? I thought they was friends. And everybody bought, and I just only been there for 5 days. I played in, as soon as I got there, I played in that Sunday night game. And then we had to turn around and have a Thursday night game. And that happened on a Monday of us, because we didn't have off because we had to play right back again on Thursday. So we had like a night practice that Monday, and we were eating dinner before the practice. And then it was like a simple, all the offensive linemen were sitting at a table, and the one kid was coming in to put his tray down. And Richie was like, "Oh, he's going to put his tray down. He's going to get something to drink." And when he come back, we all going to get up and put our tray away. I didn't think it was nothing serious. I just got there, so he did exactly what he said. He put his tray down, he went, grabbed his drink, came back, sat down, and you see all the chairs go skirt, and everybody getting up. And he just dumped his whole tray and just walked out, then never came back. Oh, and then next thing it was like on the news, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all over the news. So it became like a whole thing, the whole season. I was like, oh, this is crazy. And I had just got there, so I only played in the one game. So you had me at left tackle. The kid who stormed out, he was the right tackle, but now he's gone. So now you had to move somebody else. It was a lot. And then now Richie, I think, I don't know if he was injured or he suspended him or something. So now he was the guard next to me who was helping me. But now he's gone, so now I got a rookie. I have a rookie, and then I had like a guy who's kind of a veteran, who to me kind of felt like he hid, like he just was okay with being the backup but didn't want to play.
Right. He's stealing.
Yeah. I didn't really care for him, so I had to tell him, I said, look, play the rookie. At least he want to play. Like, he's going to give me some heart. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel comfortable next to that. So the rookie ended up winning the job. And the funny is, the rookie is actually working for the Dolphins now. He has a position in there.
Oh, cool.
Wow. And, the fact that you brought up the fact about the locker room, and I was talking earlier before you came on about building a culture. And the locker room is sometimes it's not even about the coaches upstairs. It's about that locker room. Everything goes on in the locker room. And as you saw when you were in college, that locker room took care of everything. The coaches didn't have to say that.
I can tell you this from all my experiences, even from college, the locker room, we knew what we wanted to do already. The coaches, it didn't matter. When I was in Minnesota, when Brett Favre came and we went 12-4 and we lost in the NFC Championship game, that whole locker room was based around Brett Favre and everybody playing for a high level for him. And then when it came to Baltimore, Ray Lewis being there, and you know what I'm saying, it was about the locker room. It wasn't, but the coaches, they call the plays, but everybody, you have certain people in there you're gonna play for and get you to play at a high level. And it's not necessarily always the coaches.
And you look at these college kids and your locker room back in the day at the University of Miami, the culture was already established, and but they have all this other stuff that they have thrown in there, whether it's social media, the NILs. You know how guys,
I talked about that the other day with the NILs. It's like, I don't know if it'll make kids be as hungry, because now you can get paid in college, where we were starving. You know what I'm saying?
I always say what pulled us closer together was the summer, when none of us had nothing, and they kicked us out of the dorm, and we had to go to another dorm, and we just starving
we
together.
Stayed in the frat house one year during the summer.
But that brought togetherness. These guys got money.
Yeah, and made character too. But I feel like these guys become more individuals though now too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we did things like a group of them, like I have old pictures and stuff for like Joaquin and Big Ed and Vernon and Najee and Ed Reed and all of us. They came back to New Jersey with me, and I had like my dad and them had a barbecue for us and stuff like that. Like we did stuff like that on our own to hang around each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got O-line, DBs and running backs hanging, like, you know what I'm saying, on and taking trips and hanging out. And we would go to Joaquin's parents' house. And first time I had sangria and Cuban meals, like stuff like that. We were taking time outside of the locker room and hanging with each other. A lot of those guys, they treat it like they're in the NFL already and show up there, and when they're done, they just leave and go about their business.
They jump in their Teslas. They jump in their Teslas.
And that's the time when you're supposed to really build with your college teammates.
How about putting in extra work at night on the game plan, studying your plays? We've seen an enormous number of mental errors this year, Bryant, and I kind of think that might have something to do with it. Like
it does. When you don't know your plays, you play slower. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of guessing. So nothing's really going to be full speed because you're kind of playing slow. Like, well, I hope this, instead of just firing off. When you know for sure, you know exactly, and you're going to take off and go up to somebody. So that can play a big factor on, in games. But they should hold each other accountable. And you got to watch the film, and it's like, well, they should feel a little embarrassed, like, having all these mental errors and stuff like that when they grade and watch the film, because you got to go back and watch the film. I hope they are.
But if you getting money put into your account every week or every month,
and then when you get out of college, you ain't gonna get no more money put in that account.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But
I think a lot of them think short term too. But
correct.
I don't really know if this NIL thing. I just feel like, I don't know if it makes people hungry. I mean, I hear stories about like Texas A&M had all these people to come to their school, and it's top class, and they're not even producing.
Correct. Yeah. Texas A&M and Miami are probably the two leading NIL schools in the country, and are both having similar seasons this year.
Hey, Brian, let me ask you this question, B-Mac. Okay, could you imagine dudes transferring into our program and think they're going to start?
I feel like I wouldn't even want nobody who want to keep transferring because they don't got to start in position instead of staying and fight to get position.
Like, could you imagine they transferring in?
You want to leave? Oh, I'm not starting, so I'm going to leave.
But you guys and Lamar and in your group, and even before Lamar, they had, this "us against the world" slogan. Everybody had a chip on their shoulder, And that was what brought you guys together. I don't see these guys having chips. They all come into the school saying the same thing. I'm going to take my talents like LeBron to Miami for 3 years.
Talent must not be that good. You can't start here.
Excuse me? What did you say?
I said talent must not be that good. You can't even start here.
Yeah.
Well, you got. I just read where a freshman said, "We're coming in we're trying to take jobs." And I look at it like
that's how we was when we came in.
Yeah,
that's why I said they had to pull me in the office. They asked me to red shirt because I was like, nah. I feel like I won. When Clinton Portis came in, Clinton Portis was telling JJ he was taking his job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When Frank Gore came in, Frank Gore told Portis and Willis he come to take their job. That was just the attitude. We're taking your job.
Hey, B-Mac. By the way, I told Michael Irvin I was going to take his job when I was on my recruiting visit, and he looked at me and laughed in my face. And then he decided to go pro, and I said, you were scared, huh, boy? You were scared. Hey, B-Mac, here's a question I got for you. Now, I've been waiting to ask you this question, too. Hey, man, you know Venus and Serena.
Mm.
How you know, man? How you know them people like me? You're a superstar, man. You know, superstar.
I met them. I think like back in like 2005 or something, 2004 or 5. Me and Brendan Carey was doing something for ESPN, out in LA, and the staff from ESPN took us out that night and said, "Hey, let's go to this spot called LAX," and we went with them, and the Actors Making Good had a section next to us. Mm-hmm. And then like 30 minutes later, Venus and Serena came in. And we were like, oh shoot, like, you know what I mean? But I told Vern, I was like, just act like you don't pay him no attention though. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't like pay him no mind. And it worked. Because they came over and like introduced themselves. Wow. And, like, but I was like, we clearly knew who they were, but we just act like we didn't. And then we were outside and the lady from ESPN goes up to Venus, is like, oh, she said something like as if I wanted her number or something. And Venus said, why you came over here? Why did he come over here? And then she kind of like got in the car and left. And then I turned around like 2 weeks later, I'm back in Miami. And I randomly ran into her out here in Miami. And we was like, wow, that's crazy. We just ran into each other. And I'm going to say like the following week, I ran into her again. And she like, all right, this must be meant to be. Let's exchange numbers and hang out. He said, I'm recovering from a wrist injury or something like that. So I'm actually out and about more. So let's like hang out. And she ended up decorating my my home and all. Like got really, close with the family and stuff. Wow. We do something called Williams Invitational. They actually told me it's coming back next April. It's like it's like a weekend of like, they have a dance competition. You got tennis, dodgeball, and then like a little after party they do. Okay. We stopped it for 2 years because of COVID, but it's coming back.
And it's by invite only, right? So Gary can't, Bruce can't come. Bruce gonna try to squeeze up in there.
You ain't coming either with the XFL hat on.
Hey man, hey boy, hey.
So what are you doing? What are you doing with the XFL?
Oh, we all want to know.
Oh, here you go. Hold on, let me put on my XFL hat.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, sir, Mr. McKenna. I am the assistant head coach of the Orlando Guardians.
Okay.
I am also the special teams coach and the wide receivers coach. Yes.
Y'all had a tryout I seen
yes.
recently. Yes. I can't remember who it was. Somebody was asking me about it, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what
you want him to find a spot for you? Lamar could probably work that out. Think B-Mac could still
Well, I don't know. I'm not even worried about B-Mac in the plan. I heard that you go out there sometimes with the guys and try to show them a couple things. And have you ever thought about getting into coaching?
Listening to Reggie Wayne and even Ed Reed, they just say how long the hours are.
Oh yeah, the hours are long.
Like I already know they're long because we used to think we were in there long, but the coaches were there before us and after us. So
well, I don't know what type of deal that Mario got with Jason Taylor. So I guess you don't have to be there that long. So I mean, he might be able to get you on something. Help them boys.
We would have to make it something, like where I come there a couple times a week or something. Not like
not a whole deal.
Like, I would like to help them watch film too. I want to see how they study in film. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What Mario really did with me for the most part. When I had big games, like like Alex Brown or Dwight Freeney or Jamal Reynolds, we sat and we really broke down those guys and studied them.
So Mario really helped you as far as helping you study and teaching you how to study correctly. Good.
Because you had, because Keo had the whole group,
right?
So he couldn't, but Mario would stay after with me because I would be the one who, we like, I got a big game, so I wanted to like really sit there and figure out like how to stop the person.
And let me ask you this: so were you excited when you found out that Mario was going to be the head coach? I know I was.
I was, because I felt like he knows what it feels and looks like. He won twice as a player and then as a coach, so he knows. I just don't want people to feel like, oh, as soon as a new coach comes, like everything's supposed to just magically just happen overnight. Like you have to allow him. It's like when Butch Davis was going through the probation, because my class was the first class that came back off probation. You have to give that person time to like kind of build, rebuild the school, the program back up. It can't be just done in 1 year. So you got to allow some of his talent to come in. Right now, all he has is the freshmen. So I'll say 2 more years from now, when those guys are at least juniors, these freshmen at least juniors, and there's more of his guys in there, and they start to get a feel for how he coaches and how he trains and his expectations. Because some of the older guys still have part of the old coaching in, and from what I hear, the practices are a little harder, but they're not used to that because the seniors, their whole year been going through a certain way of practicing and things like that. But the freshmen, they know nothing but that, so it's going to be a different mindset. So you got to give them time to get in there.
Building that culture. I said it earlier that I think I said it earlier in the year. I had a conversation with Mario that day that we all were down there and we were talking about being on the sideline and all that stuff. He said all the right stuff and we were kind of geeked up about it. But I told him, I said, you're 2-3 years away. And he looked at me and he said, okay. I said, because we won championships because of depth. Okay, we had depth. The guy behind us was just as good and just as hungry, and we couldn't let him on the field too long because he might take our spot. And every day you came to practice ready to get it on and ready to, protect your position. So every day was like a battle for us, until you build that where you got actually the guy behind you playing 30% of the time and it's no fall off, you're not gonna win championships. I had a guy behind me running a 4.28. If I let him in the game, that was Kevin Williams, then you wouldn't have heard of Lamar Thomas. So I mean, obviously it might not have been nobody behind the big mountain B-Mac, but I mean it was somebody.
So you had Carlos Joseph back there, and you had and then Vernon was on the other side.
Yeah.
But like one game, the last game of my senior year, I got injured, and Vernon. I think Vernon came in on the right side and Joaquin moved over to the left. But some way we still had it where we were fine.
There you go. It was no fall off. It was like, okay, we still good. And that's when you win championships. And I just, that was my initial reaction to it. And I'm glad you kind of verified that as far as, they got to, it's not going to happen overnight. Obviously there was a lot of big talk coming into the season. We've been the king of the off season for down there 20 years. And we won the off season for 20 years. But you get to the season, things don't go right. You can't be apt to get rid of the coach. I mean, we got money to throw away like that.
No.
No.
No, they're trying to build a $150 million football complex. They're not going to be looking to spend.
I think that's going to help too, though. We don't need to be playing the Dolphin Stadium.
Now I'm talking about on campus, the practice facility. They're getting ready to spend about 125 to 150
they need to build
million.
a stadium close to the campus for the students in.
Yeah, there's a guy named John Ruiz who wants to do that as well. So we'll see what happens there.
I think that's a big difference.
What do you think it should be? I mean, I don't know where
Tropical Park they want to
Tropical
put it.
Park. That's about the only place.
Park.
That would be great. Well, hey man, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show tonight, man. I know it's kind of short notice, man, and you've always been a stand-up guy with me, and you're a big mountain of a fella now. So I always try not to piss you off. I always shook your hand and kept walking. But I appreciate it, man. You're a good guy, a great cane. And I just found out, I didn't even know you finished, 8th in the Heisman or something like that?
Yeah.
How the hell?
Things like that I had to reflect back on later on. I remember when the PR person told me that, and I was just like, okay, like, I it didn't really hit me. I was like, okay, like I didn't win, so like
I
that's
can
how I
really
was
see
looking
you
at it.
saying
I'm
that.
like,
Okay.
going back later on, I was like, but that was just big to even be, you know,
Yeah.
in the talks of that, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the time when it was said to me, I was like I really like didn't pay it no mind. Like, okay,
That's a hell of an honor.
That's a hell of an honor.
Have you
man.
ever heard of
it
it?
is. But at the time, I don't think I realized it. I remember that specific day when he said it to me, and I always think back on it because I hear people say it, and I'm like, that is a big deal. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was just looking at it like I didn't win, so.
You can't look at it like that. I mean, did Orlando Pace finish in the top 10?
I believe he did too. Yeah,
You did too. All right. Well, hey man, again, thank you so much for coming on, man. I'm sure I'll see you again, and tell Venus and Serena I said hi. Okay.
Oh, I definitely will.
All right. All right, my man.
All right, B-Mac, great seeing you.
All right.
Thanks a lot, man. Yeah.
All right, we got.
I text him all the time. He's a good guy, you know.
We got another guest in the lobby, but first, let's hear from our friends at Caneswear.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Yeah.
All right, LT. We got another legend in the house.
What?
Yep.
The night of the legend.
Here he comes.
Who is it? Oh man, number 36. Oh, the real 36. He is on the show.
The real 36.
Oh man, hold on, man. The real 36. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show, Benny Blaze, Mr. Benny Blaze, the man, the real number 36. Thank you so much. How you doing tonight, Benny?
Hey, Lamar, only you that I stayed up for. Because, boy, I'm an old man now. Normally, I'm in the bed about 8:30. I told my wife, I'm on Lamar's show tonight. She said, baby, you going to stay up? Oh, man. But only for you, because you made that 36 proud, okay?
Oh, well, we're going to jump right into it. I like to tell this story about this old Benny Blaze punching me in the chest as a freshman. He punched me in the chest. I mean, first of all, on my official visit, him and his brother, they basically scared me, and they said, if you don't come here, we're gonna beat you at some point.
And you believed them.
Oh man, I'm like, bro, man, what you? Then they kept calling me green ass dude from Gainesville, and so you know they kind of intimidated me a little bit, but I was kind of like, wow, that's kind of cool. It must have been stupidity, but so I get here and they give me the number 36. I don't think nothing of it because it's not that big a deal to me. I'm figuring the freshman I'm gonna change it or whatever. So I wear the number 36 to the first. You know, we got the first game. I redshirted. We're playing Florida State on national TV, and here's Benny Blaze coming up down the sideline. Where number 36 at? Where number 36 at? I said, well, right here, man. Boom. Man, if you wear my number, you got to be out there on that field. You got to make my number proud. I said, ain't this a bitch? Punch me in my damn chest. I don't even know him that well. Punch me in my I'm already about 150 pounds, so my chest wasn't really my chest, or my back. So, I mean, I was like, you know what? I don't like that guy. I literally didn't like him at that point because I felt like he didn't even know me, and then I got to wear his number. And the real reason, the deciding fact on me keeping the number 36 was being at Strawberries, and I saw this girl I've been trying to talk to for a long time, and she finally let me talk to her. I'm a freshman. Finally get hold of her, and I'm talking to her, and we rapping real good. And her friend come over. She said, "Who is that?" She said, "Oh, this Lamar. He played for Miami." She said, "You play for Miami?" I'm like, "Yeah, I play for Miami." She looked me up and down like, "No, you don't." So I said, "Yeah, I play for Miami." She said, "Well, what's your number?" I said 36. She said, she grabbed the girl and said, "Girl, come on, he lying. That's Benny Blaze's number." I said, I'm keeping that damn number. How you doing, Benny? You all right, man?
I'm doing wonderful, Lamar. Hey, I'm glad you told those stories because you made that number infamous after that fact. You know,
I
I
appreciate
go
it.
there. Look, we can't do that now. You go down there, you search up for number 36. Man, it's a dude. He made 4/5 string, and he ain't doing nothing. I just leave them cats alone now, man.
Hey, by the way, the guy takes his one jersey and puts the jersey over there and returns kicks. I forget his name, but he wears number 36, and I don't even know. Hey, Benny,
Over
let's
George.
tell.
That's
I
Jacoby
tell
George, yeah.
every guest that comes on the show, we like to talk about why Miami. Why'd you come to the school at University of Miami when it was not a good program? From was it Piper? Was it Piper?
From Piper High School.
Michael, yeah.
Tell us the story. Why'd you decide on the University of Miami?
Well, I tell you what, Lamar, for me, staying home was not an option. Okay. In '83, they had just won the national championship. I said, man, look, I ain't gonna play down in Miami. I ain't going down to Miami. My brother was down in Miami. Those three things got me wanting to go up north. But then I went to visit the University of Michigan. I went to visit Notre Dame. I went to visit Syracuse. I said, man, it's too cold for me to go up there. And then I happened to see, a lot of people don't know I ran track. As big as I was, I ran track. And so Melvin, Talbot, Winston Moss, Lonzo, my brother, all of them came to the state track meet. And I said, look, I ain't coming to Miami. That's why I got hitting people in the chest. Man, Winston Moss hit me. He said, man, I tell you what, if you don't come to Miami, we going to kick your ass every time we see you. Man, these dudes don't even know me, man. I'm Brian's little brother. So after I won, so look, after I won, you know, the 400 meters that night, Brian came over to me and said, I don't think you have a choice, man. You know, you got to come to Miami. I said, man, I ain't coming to Miami. Then guess who show up? Talbot Bang. Man, you better bring your butt down here. I said, Talbot, man, look, I don't want to be nowhere around the University of Miami. Then, who's next? Lonzo, Melvin. Man, they put the full court pressure on me. So every time my mom and dad went down there to see Brian, you know, I'm in the car.
Right.
I ain't had no choice. I had to be Brian's big little brother. You know what I mean? And when I got Lamar, I tell people all the time, when I got there with a defensive coordinator named Coach Trout. Man, if he'd have stayed, you'd have never heard of a Benny Blade. This man hated me. He said, I never recruited you anyway. I don't even know why they brought you in here. They brought you in because you're Brian's, you know, little brother. Jimmy leave. Snellenberger leave. Jimmy Johnson come in. Okay. I was just playing on special teams that first year.
Right.
Man, that spring, that's why I look, every time I see Darryl Fullerton, I say, thank you, man. Because look, he let Doug Flutie throw that Hail Mary. Look here. That springtime, Jimmy saying, you must start free safety. I don't play free safety. I'm a corner or I'm a running back. Running back room is full.
Right.
I had to learn how to play free safety after that, bro. Because that's the thing about what we got to get to now. It ain't no you play a certain position. Athletes can play anywhere on the field. And that's why when kids say, well, now I only play corner. Prime example, my nephew. 2 years ago, they told him, why don't you move to safety? I don't want to be a safety. I said, let me tell you something. That's going to be the best thing you could ever do for your career. Learn all 40 positions. Where's he at now? He's at safety. Yeah. Lonzo say he'll probably get drafted as a safety more than a corner. That's what these young kids got to understand. If you can play multiple positions, you're gonna play in that National Football League.
You know, you talk about those old teams, those old souls, as I call them, those old souls. you know, that locker room, the culture in that locker room. I mean, you know, I talked about earlier with Brian being on the show. We talked about, we really didn't, the coaches, it was about us in that locker room, and everything went on in that locker room. I mean, deals were made. People, you know, things changed. You know, people might have been fighting or arguing. You got to get this shit together before you get up out of here. We got to make sure this right, because this team is more important than I. Am I right?
Yep. People didn't realize Jimmy came in, like I said, and we went, I think, 8-4 that year.
85.
Yeah, you lost it.
I mean, that was during my time that was a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that next year we won 11 games and lost. Okay, in the Fiesta Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Now, guys in that locker room took care of the things that the coaches didn't have to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we lifted weights together, see, people always talk about how me and my brother used to fight all the time. It's that competitive edge. I didn't care. It was my brother. I didn't care if it was Brett Herman, Michael Irvin, Willie Smith. Bro, I'm going to bust you in the mouth, whether we on the football field, we playing basketball, because you got to be competitors on and off the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it was back then. Now I look at that, man. I don't want to get off topic because it's NIL deal done screwed the whole game up. But these guys really don't compete. Lamar, when I go down to practice, I get so thrown back. I say, man, these guys are getting beat by walk-ons, and they don't care.
Yep.
Man, I see a dude walk-on beat the starting, I ain't gonna call no names, starting corner. Not one time, Lamar, twice. For 60+ yards, the coaches ain't say nothing, the players ain't say nothing. He jogged back to the huddle, and me being me on the sideline, I say, oh, hell no, he'll get his ass up out of there. I'm gonna choke the shit out of him. So they all turned around and looked at me. I said, oh, I'm sorry, different era, can't say anything.
Correct.
Wow.
I'm just not used to, you know, coaches not saying anything, players, because you win games in practice, whether people know it or not. You play how you practice. And I'm a firm believer of that. And people say, well, no, you can't just turn that thing on game day and say, okay, I'm the best in the business. No, bro, it don't work that way.
We talked also.
It didn't work that way. It didn't work that way after you guys either when he got there. And then because you guys had an inner fire. You guys didn't need the coaches to tell you to get fired up for a game. You guys amongst yourself were like, like if there was somebody made a mistake in practice, either you or whoever, Jerome would say, what the F was that? Don't do that again. You don't need the coaches to tell you that. You guys policed yourselves. I don't think that's happening anymore. Benny, I don't think there's a leader on the team, let alone you got multiple leaders.
Well, you know what the leaders are nowadays, and I'm glad you brought it up like that. The leaders are the NIL deals. Listen, when you got a teammate who's making 60, one next year he's making 80, another one's making 100,000. I often ask myself, where's the motivation of wanting to play on Sunday?
Right.
When I show people my contract, look, Lamar's was double than mine because I played centuries before. Okay? And I show people I was the third pick in the draft. And when you're making $80,000 at the third pick in the draft, bro, I was going to split your whole head in half. So that's why when Lamar got in the league, when I was making $600 in, asked Lamar when he was in Tampa Bay, bro, I was the old school. Lamar got ready. I said, hey,
don't you cut me. Don't you cut me.
Don't do that because I gotta get this money.
Yeah.
Okay? These kids nowadays, I often wonder where's the motivation. Because when you have nothing, you are motivated to play hard, work hard, every single day.
Yep.
Ain't no motivation, bro. I'm already making $100,000, $200,000. Where's the motivation?
Hey, do you think also, you think about your teams, how close you guys were, because we all were struggling. We all, like during the summer, we all struggled. I'm sure how many times them guys came up to your house in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, we all struggled and we had our struggles. But you think these guys actually hang out with each other? I doubt it.
No.
They ain't got to struggle during the summer when you get kicked out of your dorm and you got to go live here. And then, you kind of everybody kind of blending together. They probably get to go back to their condos, their townhouses.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But when I often talk about people and I talk about old school Miami football, and see, I haven't talked from the 70s up into the 80s to the 90s, and I had to stop at the early 2000s. Okay? People say, we've been a while. No. Hurricane football would never get back to those days of yesterday. It can never get back to those days, because just hearing you guys talk before I got on, when you got billionaires trying to build brand new facilities on campus, when you already got something that's already functional. I told one of the kids, when I go down to practice, I said, bro, I remember cages being in here. It wasn't no, you had 8, 9, 10 pair of shoes to pick from. You got one pair of shoes, and it sure better last you during practice, because you got one pair of shoes for game day. And so when you got these billionaires, and I get the new age thing, but when you got $150 million facilities being built, and these guys are arguing about spending their money trying to build fit tropical park into an on-campus stadium, do they really care about if Lamar Thomas or Benny Blaze ever show up to a game? No. I often question, I told one of the kids, I said, look, my driving force when I came to Miami, I was going to make my mom and dad proud. And the proudest day I've ever had, Lamar, being a Hurricane, is when they put me in the Ring of Honor. And my dad told me they can never take me down. I said, Dad, you ain't up there. He said, boy, let me tell you something. They can never take me down.
The next time I go out there, I'm going to say, look at Benny Blade Daddy up there.
That's funny. It's great talking to you, Benny, because I know you don't remember, but I think 96, Gary, we played in the Carquest Bowl at the stadium here. And Benny was I did a radio show. Benny was my pregame guest. It was great. And he's no different now. It was 27, 28 years.
Look, my whole thing is I like just telling people, I like telling people the truth about, I'm one of those people, I really want the University of Miami to be of importance again. Okay? I know a lot of, I mean, we make so much into the coaching staff that's been put together. But I tell people the one thing a coach can never, ever in life coach is that's a heart. The heart of a man can't be coached. I don't care how good he look on film. We got to stop saying, okay, we got 8 5-star recruits coming in. Give me that junkyard dog from Liberty City who's a 3-star who gonna whoop your butt every single practice. And coach gonna say, can you tone it down? He ain't gonna tone it down, because let me tell you something. He got something to prove. It's 8 of them living in a 2-bedroom, and I gotta get them up out of here. That is the kid that I want, because look, he got something to prove. A lot of these 5-stars that they make in these quote unquote skills camps. Lamar, you know me. I referee the game now, and I think that's the worst thing they could have done for me, is allowing me to referee and talk to these kids. Because while I'm refereeing, the boy told me one night, Lamar, he said, I'm a 5-star. I say, so why is this young kid whooping your butt every single play, but you keep telling me I'm a 5-star? He holding me. I said, bro, I see $8 million linemen get held every play, but they make the tackle. You want me to bail you out? That ain't gonna happen, bro. You a 5-star. Get up off the junkyard dog that whooping your butt. them kids be so mad with me, I don't care.
I guess you don't like the star system because they make such a big deal out of it. And when these kids make their announcements, they're making this big deal about it. It's almost like they're going from high school to the NFL. They're just blowing off college. They have a mindset, though. I want to go there and then make my money and get out of there. But that's not the way you guys won, and that's not how you played, and that's not how you practice. Because every guest we've had in the last couple of years on this show said the same thing. The practices were harder than the games. And Gary and I watched those practices, even with Lamar, when you were there. Man, you guys beat the crap out of each other.
There were stories, Benny, of you knocking your brother silly.
Yeah.
In practice. Like,
Lamar, let me tell you that story right there. Now, we were known as Benny and the Jets, and they were known as the Bomb Squad. Squad. Now, my mom came to practice. My dad always used to hang out on the side by himself. So my mom's sitting up in the stand. And so when you know somebody's going to run that little 8-yard slant, boy, I sat on that slant and knocked them clean out. My mama said, don't hit my baby. I said, get his ass from my him. Get it from my him. Because anybody that was on that field, I just believed in, on game day, I got to take all the tendencies that I see during practice, that I see on the film, and I got to perfect that. Mm-hmm. So if he just happened to be a casualty that day, well, brother or not, it is what it is.
Hey, bro, you changed the game, because not many dudes were as big as you that could run, and it was amazing to watch you. I mean, you know, even when I got in the league, if we were scouting, I'm like, hey man, if Benny on my side, don't throw that thing over there, man. Don't throw that thing over there, dog. Look him off or something, but don't throw that thing out there, boy, because he is coming. He can't stop. He too old to stop. Now he gonna run through me. But you, I mean, you changed the game. You gave bigger safeties an opportunity to, you know, to hey, we can do this, and it changed the whole game. Because you know, back in the day, they had the Oklahoma and the Nebraska, big old safeties, but they couldn't do nothing. They couldn't run. They just come down and make tackles. Right. You did more than you covered, you intercept, you took back. I mean, you changed, you like literally changed the whole game of football, man.
Yeah, you know what, Betty, I want to ask you about this, because we're talking about, and I'm not going to mention the names, but there's a couple of defense safeties on our team now. They're big guys, but they're soft. And the other thing that bothers me the most, and I guess this goes back to what Bryant was saying about film, they take such bad angles. It's unconscionable. Yeah. What the hell are they not? Are they not looking at films? Are they not working at their trade? What do you think's going on? I mean, it's been going on for 2 years now.
Well, the thing is, like I said, a coach can coach, but it's up to a player to improve his craft. Okay. I mean, every team around the country has tendencies. A lot of guys, when film sessions go with, they're done. They don't want to watch no more. They're tired of it. And so a lot of times I go to the game and I sit there. Of course, you know, I always sit there with Selma Brown, Darryl Fullington, Paul Brain, and we just sit there and we watch the secondary. A lot of these guys, they play like they have no clue as to what is going to happen. They don't know what coverage they're in. And for me, that's baffling.
Poor communication also.
Yeah.
They're peeking in the backfield constantly and they're just getting looked off, and they're out of position.
That's right. But my thing is, if you're supposed to be deeper than the deepest, be deeper than the deepest, because you can always come downhill 100 miles an hour and run through somebody. you can't back up fast enough. And so a lot of times it just kills us to see balls going over corners and safeties' heads, and they turn around, they're looking like, who's supposed to be there? That's your man. You're supposed to be there. I don't.
Hey, no offense, Benny, but I think your nephew, that happened to him the other day.
No, it did. And trust that. That's why I know he ain't answer my phone call.
He knew what was coming. That's why.
Right? Hey, because my thing is, you cannot go into a film session and not try to figure out, like I said earlier in the program, offenses have tendencies. Okay? And so the game hasn't changed that much since I played. It's a chess game. I'm the safety. If I know he's going to come out in that set right there, 70%, I'm going to take that away. Now, it's a chess game, the other 30%. If I win, boy, if I lose, I'm going to sure give you a headache. These kids, and like I said, I ain't going to call no name, but they're big and they're strong. But their heart to hit folks ain't just this. You know what I mean? When you're trying to tackle somebody, I'm 6 foot, and I'm trying to tackle you around your ankles, bro, that ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna slap you in your mouth, and the ref call the flag, so I'm gonna slap his ass again the next play.
Hey, speaking of your crew, who would say this? All I know is when I played, when we were back there, me and Benny and all them boys, we trying to hurt somebody around this bitch.
Listen, Toba Band has the most recognizable voice in South Florida.
And you.
Yeah. Because I got that grown man raspy voice.
Right.
17 that I can't get rid of.
You had it at 18.
Yeah. But you know what the thing is, though, Lamar? Me and Toba Band communicate with Toba saying, if I asked Benny what the call was, man, he just turned around and put his mouthpiece in. I just knew I had to go over the top. Because he know, boy, they gonna run this slant. And I'm finna get me an interception, or I'm gonna slap him one good time, and he ain't gonna run that slant no more.
How many times you see these guys doing coverage, and I'm like, yo, why can't y'all go back to the old school and just go 2?
Yep.
Win 2. Just communicate. Hey, bro, 2.
Right.
First of all, as a receiver, I kind of can figure out by the alignment what you're gonna be in.
Yep.
Now, I even in film study, I might see your signal, so I already know in my mind what we do. You ain't really disguising nothing. Hell, just play the shit the way it is, because it's not like every time we try to disguise, we blow it.
Oh, yeah. Look, just line up and play. Don't disguise nothing. You know, I got into a debate, Lamar. It's amazing how when you're losing, everybody they're geniuses now.
Yeah.
I said, well, I tell you what. If they really want to see what they got, all them guys that been playing for 4 years and we ain't got no better, put them on the bench. All them guys that been playing, you know what I mean, for 3 years, they ain't got no, put them on the bench. Let's find out what we got the next 3-4 games with these redshirt freshmen and these sophomores. You look, y'all already losing. We got.
I think Mario's going to put a lot of those guys in the portal anyhow. They're not going to put them on the bench. They'll be in the portal. I guess back in the day they put them on the bench because there was no portal, but now that's where they're going to be. But you know what else I think? Some of these high school kids, quickly, because I know Lamar has more questions, but these high school kids, without mentioning names, the 5 stars, were playing high school ball, and they're kind of freelancing, whatever the hell they wanted. They made tackles, they made big plays, knocked people out. But for the most part, they're not disciplined. And they don't know how to play in a structure, and they don't communicate. So that's why when they come here, they're lost. 5 stars, they look lost. And it's just, maybe, I don't know if I'm not going to blame high school coaches, but some of these kids got away with playing like that because they're just so big and strong compared to everybody else.
So here's what happens, because unfortunately I had to take over a youth league program. And because I'm so structured in how I want to do things, I lost 60% of my parents and the kids. I don't care. You can go somewhere else. If you don't want to follow the structure and the rules that are laid out, go somewhere else. To me, it's not about winning and losing. At a young age, it's about teaching the kids structure and discipline. And so along the way, youth league coaches, high school coaches, they play the kids because, yeah, Johnny is better than everybody else out here.
Right.
But if you really broke down the film, Johnny is so far not doing his job to all the other 10 got to cover for one. And it's not fair for the other 10 because he's getting all the notoriety. Right. And so everybody sees him. Well, what about the other 10 that's doing things the right way? So when those kids now become collegiate kids and they're so used to doing what they want to do, they're exposed. Yeah. And the minute they get exposed, the first thing they say is, well, I'm going to go in the transfer portal. Me personally, look, I'm waving at you like this. Bye. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to go to an Alabama being undisciplined. You're not going to go to LSU being undisciplined. Nobody in the country that's winning is going to take an undisciplined kid. What? You got over 2,000 kids still stuck in that portal talking about he ain't let me do what I want to do.
The black hole.
You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I'm that old school coach. Goodbye. You know what I mean? Because they don't sit on the bench no more. They go in the transfer portal. So transfer your boy right on to somebody else's headache.
Hey, Benny, how many times have this is something I was thinking as you said, being a ref. How many times has somebody come to the gate tell me, hey man, ref, you terrible, you suck. Oh shit, that's Benny Blaze.
You don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong.
Oh shit, that's Benny Blaze.
Hey, you know what? Lamar, you be amazed how many times I get that. Because when you referee, you're on a crew. Okay. Right. And so if you got wing officials and deep officials, they blow a call. Oh man. And they don't know nobody else on the field but me. Benny, I knew you saw that. Me being me, I turn around and say, Coach, did you just call the right play? Because the left side was so open. It was wide open. So shut up. I ain't going to call your plays, and you don't talk about the officiating.
We need 11 like this on defense and 11 like Lamar on offense. That's what we need. We need attitude. No, but the attitude is just not good. But I think, Benny, don't you think we can turn it around? We've got great recruits. You got to trust Mario.
Here's the thing. When they put together that superstar coaching staff, and everybody, was saying, oh, we're going to go to the national championship. I said, wait a minute. You guys got to understand. He is playing with somebody else's recruits right now. And I told Mario after one practice, I said, look, I'm not going to bother with you until after that third season. That fourth season belongs to you and you solely, nobody else. You can't say, well, I had him and I really didn't want. No. You got to start cleaning up that program after this year. If guys want to transfer, let them transfer. Get your recruits in, because I'm going to talk about one gentleman right now. Like I tell Nigel Kelly, okay, big defensive end. I've had this young kid since he was a young whippersnapper. And I told him, I said, look, because he wanted to go to Florida. I said, Nigel, the University of Miami is going to be a better fit for you. Okay? You need Miami, and you need people around you that's been knowing you, because he can be real lazy at times. Okay? And so he needs those people around him that's going to stay on top of him. That's why I'm glad I didn't leave the Miami area, because I had it. If I played good or if I played bad, I had a dad who used to always tell me, boy, you can play better. And a lot of these kids, they need that. They don't need to go away from home. Now, right now, Dillard has two players that I think Miami really, really, really needs to covet in the worst way. One reminds me of Devin Hester. They said, well, Benny, we don't know where to play him. Boy, an athlete can play anywhere.
Mm.
He's a running back. He's a slot receiver. He's a kick returner. Just recruited. Okay? And so when Mario gets his group of guys in, now, we always talk about cooks in the kitchen. If you want me to win, then let me go on all the ingredients that I need to win. Let the billionaires build all the facilities. Let them build all the stadiums. And it's my job. Trust me, guys, they didn't give Mario $8 million a year not to win. His foot in year 4 is going to be up under that fire because you got people that want to win in the worst way. Because I tell people ain't going to University of Miami to study orchestra. Yeah, I know the School of Music is, you know what I mean, top in the country now. They ain't coming to University of Miami to watch the football team win. Okay? You can say anything you want to say. I have never, I don't know about in your days, Lamar, I have never seen the stadium empty in the middle of the third quarter. I just hadn't seen it.
I saw it the other night.
Yeah, boy. And that hurt me. Boy, I stopped watching the game. And I normally don't stop watching the University of Miami. I put up my computer and I started watching anything else but the University of Miami. I said, man, these guys going out without no fight, no nothing. But what are those kids coming to the University of Miami for? Athletics and football being the #1 sport there. What are they coming to school for? I can go play cello in Michigan. I can't go to the University of Miami paying $80,000 a year to play the cello. Come on now, let's be realistic.
Hey, Benny, how's Al doing? He's had a tough time with the injuries and everything, and the changes in staff and stuff and that. How's he doing?
His head is okay, you know. That's the main thing that concerns me more than anything else. You know, a lot of times he went from his redshirt freshman year being touted as probably the next best corner in Miami's history. And then he had that bout with a hernia. Then he had the bout with COVID that put a strain on his heart. And he just wasn't the same physical player that he was before those 2 instances. But, you know, to me, as a uncle and as an alumni, I think about his headspace. He's so much like his dad. It's scary to us that know his dad and know him. And so his aspiration, and often, guys, I'm telling you, often I have to ask him, is your desire to play the game really there? Because he writes poetry, he's going into acting, he's doing all those other things outside of the game of football that, like I told him, I wish him a lot of luck on the field, but that's not, as an uncle, that's not where I'm at. I mean, if he's lucky enough to play on Sunday, I'm good with that, you know, but as an uncle, I think more about where he is mentally than all the other stuff.
Hey, maybe he's just thinking about possible realities and he needs to start looking at other things to do in his life because this may or may not happen for him.
Yeah.
You got to give him credit for that. You know, you just can't
hey, look, and a lot of those guys, you know, unfortunately, down in Miami better start thinking about other things. Because look, when it's, I mean, come on, guys, think about it. When the season started, they told me we would have 2 of the best offensive linemen that's going to go in the top 10 in this year's draft.
Yeah.
I look at Miami's line. I don't see nobody that's going to make the toilet bowl. I mean, no, I mean, they can say what they want to say, but I mean, a lot of times people say, well, he's big, he has the size. I don't look at measurables when I look at the National Football League. I look at, can you get the job done?
Yep.
Don't tell me he's 6'7" or he's 6'8". Give me a guy that's 6'3" that's nasty in the trenches.
Yep.
See, you know, a lot of times we look at measurables and we say, well, he's going to be a great pro. That's why me and Alonzo, we talk outside of the Heck Center. And I mean, I think we're giving these kids a bad narrative of where they think they may be. And so a lot of them say, well, I ain't gonna get hurt because I'm going into the draft.
Oh, yeah, right.
There's
only two on the whole team.
I didn't hear you.
There's two that might get drafted this year, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And that's the thing, because I know my era, we used to always compete seeing who was going to get drafted first. It wasn't if you're going to get drafted. You know what I mean? Who's going to get drafted first? Because we knew by competing every single day, man, Lamar, when we went to the combine, I used to tell people, I said, look, I'm just going to go and show up. I'm going to do their little Wonderlic test. The people thought I was crazy doing that Wonderlic test. I didn't run. I say, turn the film on. Y'all know what I could do. Turn the film on. Nowadays, these guys got a bench press. They got to do pro day. They do everything just to show the people they can play the game.
Yeah.
When you can play, film speaks for itself.
It does. Sure. Hey, speaking of film speaks for itself, and it's not, as I'm sitting there thinking about playing in the Silver Dome, because I just talked to Brian McKinney about playing in the Metro Dome. Boy, let me tell you something. That Barry Sanders, boy, good Lord have mercy. Boy, that was a highlight show every game. What I mean, you was on the defensive side, so as I'm supposed to be over there listening to the coach, you know we watching Barry. And I know y'all
don't worry
probably
about
doing
Lamar.
the same thing.
Listen, I used to watch him not only in practice, because he did some incredible things in practice. I'm like, does he rehearse this or just come naturally? And so a lot of times we used to hang out after practice. My mom swear I'd have turned that boy into an undesirable. You don't introduce him to the strip club, but that's another story. But he used to do stuff in practice, man. And we used to all go, wow. And then in the game, instead of us going over and getting coaching from the defensive coaches, me, Spielman, William White, we all up watching. What is he going to do now? What is he going to do now?
Yep.
Because it wasn't nothing for him to lose 5 yards on one play and come back the next play and run for 85. He didn't care about losing 5.
He didn't care about it
come
all.
on. But
I mean, he had people blocking for him like Big Sexy, Larry Lee.
Hey, Lamar, but
your offensive lineman called Big Sexy. Come on, man.
No. But hang on, what I told Barry one time. I said, Barry, it was 1993. I said, Barry, you know if they trade me and we have to play you, you know I'm taking the 15, right? He said, what you mean, Benny? He said, bitch, I'm going to hit your ass into the wall over there and make sure I ain't got to run behind you no more that day. He said, you'll do that to me? I said, man, I'm going to take that damn fine because you ain't going to embarrass me. He embarrassed so many people, man.
He sure did.
I ain't going to never forget his rookie season. We playing in Chicago. If y'all can ever look this up, I have never seen my rookie year before here. Mike Singletary, in my opinion, was probably one of the best linebackers who played the game. Mm-hmm. He made Mike Singletary miss him 3 times in the same hole. He ran into the hole. He shook him. Mike fell to the ground. He ran off to the right. They corralled him. He came back in the same hole. Mike was waiting for him. Shook him again, went off to the left. Came back and went right around Mike. I say, this boy gonna be something special right here. I don't know how his vision was. I say, he must have been getting whooped by Mr. Sanders real bad, boy. He had to run out of sight real quick.
Hey, Benny, man. Hey, all I know is it's gonna be hard to top this show
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if I want to do the show no more after tonight. Man. Hey, bro, we definitely appreciate you coming on, man. And again, I appreciate you letting me wear that number 36. And
No, Lamar. That's why I came on. The pleasure was mine because
hey, I ain't up in no
for me,
stadium.
it's like a hand-me-down. When you get something to a little brother, you want to make sure he treats it right, bruh. Thank you for taking care of that 36.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, Benny, just do me a favor. When I think of you, I think of your guns in the 30 for 30. Give us another one of those guns. That was one of the greatest on-field moves I've ever seen. Remember that? And he did it in the guns.
By the way, Benny. By the way, a couple of times people have sent me pictures, and I'm like, "Are y'all dumb or blind? There's no way that's me. That's freaking Benny. Yo, that's a 200 and some pound dude. I did not look like that, you idiot." I send that shit back and I say, "Send that shit to Benny."
Hey, it's okay, Lamar. Go ahead and sign your name on it. It'll be a collectible in the future.
All right, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'm sure I'll see
Great
you
seeing you, Ben.
Tell Brian I said what's up too. All right, bro.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care, buddy. Be healthy.
All right.
Wow, man. I love that guy. Wow. Hey, let's while we regroup here, let's hear one more time from our friends at Caneswear.
Welcome to Caneswear. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has all latest merchandise for the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Inter Miami Soccer, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of I-595, or online at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Yeah, that's a nice shirt, LT. Is that a short sleeve with a white shirt underneath?
Oh, yeah, it's a short sleeve. You know, I have my own style to it. You know how I do, baby.
Saw that,
that's
how you have wristbands on.
LT, tell us a little bit about what's going on at Caneswear.
All right, let me read my little read here. Are you geared up yet? Have you been to Caneswear in Davie recently? They have the latest gear for the Miami Hurricanes and Miami Dolphins too. Caneswear is more than a store, it's an experience. They have the largest selection of Miami Hurricanes items in town, items from Adidas, Dime Life, Flow Grown, and other brands, including team sideline apparel, and hundreds of different shirts, t-shirts, jerseys, polos, hoodies, and hats in all sizes for men, women, kids, babies, and even pets. Caneswear is your tailgating headquarters for tents, chairs, flags, decals, magnets, license plates, sunglasses, and tattoos. They definitely will get you ready for game days. So if you want Hurricanes gear and any South Florida pro team merchandise, they've got you covered all season long. So get on over to Caneswear, located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. And of course, they're always open at Caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot where Miami fans shop.
That was awesome, man.
Get over there. Get over there.
Get on over there.
Get on over there.
Hey, Bruce, it's been quite a night.
Hold on. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 10 to 7. These are the hours. Sunday, an hour early for the Dolphins game, 10 to 5. So come on in here and get some of this beautiful gear. They're overflowing. I mean, they got so much stuff in here that they're going to,
I wonder why.
Yeah, they're overflowing. So come on in here and get some of this gear.
Poor Brad, he probably ordered for an undefeated season.
Hey, and don't forget the that we didn't wear.
Yeah, the Miami Knights collection that they decided not to wear this year.
Kind of glad they didn't. That would have made it even worse.
I hope Adidas takes some of that back from Brad. Boy. All right, Bruce, it's been quite a night. We're going to wind this thing down and go on to some word association with Lamar, but any parting thoughts on your part?
Yeah, I'm still going to root for them on Saturday. You know, I can't root against them. I know there's a difference of opinion. I'd like to get to a bowl game, and you'd like to see Mario start recruiting earlier. but I'm still a Kane fan. I'm not going to sit there and not root for them. So I just hope they win, and we'll see what happens. And I guess you might not be going, huh?
We'll see what happens with the Storm. I mean, I'm booked, obviously, but
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
Well, you guys
not
have a
too
good rest
interested
of
in
the
driving around Atlanta, a flooded Atlanta. So we'll see.
All right, you guys, just have fun. Be
All right,
safe
Bruce.
with the storm.
All
LT,
right, Bruce.
I got to talk to you, LT, so I'll call you.
Okay, good.
All right,
All
man.
right.
I'll
Talk
see
to
you
you
next week. You think Atlanta can handle? I don't know if Atlanta's going to handle that water very well.
Man.
Yeah, they got all those hills, and then obviously the hills go back up, and it's like it's like creating a bowl for the water, right?
And then on top of that, Gary, you could get stuck there. Can't get a flight back.
Well, because there'll be a
Just
lot of
saying.
cancellations, and
Yeah,
they're going to be bumping people, and I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, think of that, Gary.
We'll have to see. All right, LT. So
What we
Kane's
got?
going to Georgia Tech,
Mm-hmm.
and they got to rally the troops. They've had a rough year.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario's had a rough year. The coaches are beat up. The players are beat up. Nothing's gone to script. Can they pull it all together now? Last year they could. Like they won 5 of the last 6 last year after they lost like this the first half of the year. They got to win 2 out of 3 to get to a bowl game, Lamar. Will that matter to these guys?
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, you got the perfect opponent for the start of the 2 out of 3. I would rather it be Georgia Tech than have to go Clemson or play Pitt. So you got the lesser of the opponents, and they're not having a great year. They had a coaching change, and they won a couple games, but not a lot. So this is a perfect game for you. Now, you lick your wounds. You go to practice, you get better, and you go out and you play the best of your abilities. And this is understand something. You're supposed to play well in this game. This is your best chance to get it going. So as guys, I would hope, and I know as coaches, they're trying to push these kids to the ultimate level, so they'll give 100%. But you got to also understand that you just were embarrassed on national TV. And this game probably will be only televised regionally. I don't know. So just go out there and have a good time and try to get a win. I mean, a win is a win. You want to play well, but a win is a win. And then you build on that because you got another bear coming up after that. A team that probably will and try to blow you out if they can. So go up to Atlanta, rain, sleet, or snow, and get this thing done.
I remember the Butch Davis Miami Hurricanes getting annihilated at Syracuse and then coming home and beating a ranked UCLA team. How in football can there be such disparities week to week?
Well, it all depends. I mean, if a team has your number, they just, it's nothing that can go on that night. I played in one college game where they just had our number, Alabama. I mean, they just had our number that night. Now, I don't know if we played 10 other times, it would still happen that way. But that night, there was nothing that we could do that to suffice what they were doing. So, but that was the only time. We've lost other games where it was close. They just won. And then we show up the next week and we put the smack down on somebody because we were pissed off. We were really pissed off and embarrassed that we lost, whether it was a fumble or a cheat or anything. We just took it out on the next opponent. And we also took it out on them because we knew one thing was true. Fans in South Florida love winners. And if you lose a game, crowd goes down. People say, well, we'll do something else. And so we knew to get people to come back out was beat the hell out of somebody. And they're coming back. And we stack up enough wins in a row, they're coming back. And we played for that because we enjoyed our fans at that time getting to see that. And we knew that there were other places they could be, but we wanted them to come see us at the OB. So that's why we played our asses off for those fans. And we wanted our stadium to be semi-packed, if not packed.
Well, you got Georgia Tech, then you got to go to Clemson, and then you got Pitt at home. Obviously, if you want to make a bowl game, you got to win Saturday.
Yes.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to be very difficult to win at Clemson. And then you got the game for all the marbles against Pitt. If you can pull it off tomorrow to go to a bowl game or not go to a bowl game. And, we'll see what happens. But let's finish it off tonight with a little word association, like we always do. And we haven't rehearsed these. Okay, I hit Lamar with these blinds, so we get to see how quick Lamar is, which is usually pretty quick. And I'm going to start with Hurricane Nicole.
She's coming. She's about 2 a.m. She'll be here. It's raining outside right now, so I got my umbrella. It's actually a Louisville umbrella. So she'll be here tonight, and she's gonna mess up a lot of things as far as I'm seeing up north. The high school games have been moved and shifted around and canceled, and we don't have school for we didn't have school today. We don't have school Thursday. And we won't have school Friday. So hopefully she doesn't sit. Hopefully she's a fast mover, a pole dancer. She's not. She's not a pole dancer. We want her to keep moving because if she sits on Florida, I don't know if Florida can handle no more rain, man.
Lamar, they got her going through the middle of the state from east to west, doing a little loop in the Gulf of Mexico, cutting through the north, swinging through Tallahassee, and then right up into Georgia.
She gonna hit Tallahassee? Well, they're gonna probably be outside enjoying it because they ain't afraid of no hurricane no more.
And then she's going right up into Georgia, and she's gonna take a slap Atlanta on the way. I mean, man, crazy.
Yeah, she's something else, Nicole.
Something else, man. These storms. Georgia Tech.
Well, a team that again, they lost their coach early in the season. They're trying to, just trying to figure it out, and I think the new coach has he's done a decent job. I think he played there, so he's just telling those guys just go out and have fun and just play ball. And they've actually won a couple games. Probably at the end of the season they'll decide whether they want to keep him or not, or even interview, which could be scary for all of us in the ACC and the South. If they interview Deion Sanders, I don't know if he'll take it, but if they interviewed this man and he got that job, boy, it's gonna be hell on everybody trying to recruit against the city of Atlanta and Georgia Tech and all those great companies that are owned by people that look like myself. So I'm just saying, you better watch out. But who knows? They might not. They might hire the guy with the booty chin that coaches at Alabama. That coached at
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien with the booty chin, the John Travolta chin.
See, yeah. I don't get it. Like, if you have the opportunity to go outside the box and hire Deion Sanders, why would you hire Bill O'Brien? You could hire a guy like Bill O'Brien to be the offensive coordinator. Like,
hey, just so you know, a lot of people that hire people, they feel comfortable hiring people that look like them. So just realize that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, Georgia Tech, to me, like, it only works if you're outside the box there. That's why it worked with Paul Johnson, because he was so different. And they won the ACC title. Like, they were able to at least be a competitive program. You go cookie cutter at Georgia Tech, good luck. Good luck.
I'd rather you not hire Deion, because it's gonna hurt a lot of recruiting down here and up there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Josh Gaddis.
He's gonna have to come up with something these next 3 games, man. The fans are pretty restless. I talked to him before the game, and we talked about him coming down from upstairs, and he just said basically he just felt like because they're so young, it's not really any leadership. When he's upstairs, it's hard to communicate. So he decided to come down, and he felt like being able to stop the bleeding and be that person to say, okay, guys, let's focus. Let's get it together. And it worked 1 game. I think that was the Duke game they won. No, not the Duke game. I'm sorry. The Virginia game. Yeah. But it's he's going to have to get it together. I mean, obviously, it's just like anything. You have to get the right people for your system, or you have to evolve and evolve your whole play calling to fit these kids. So it's a whole process, and maybe this year, they go all the way up to the end, and then they just start revamping things for next year. I don't know what's going to happen, but there have been some flashes when the quarterback almost throws for 500 yards, but we lose. But there were flashes, so he's going to have some good games these last 3 games, and I know Mario says he believes in him. So, he's the head coach. He's getting paid all the money, and they've obviously paid Gaddis a lot of money. So we're just going to have to figure it out and watch and see what happens.
The fluctuations have been insane this year.
Man.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Emotions.
Florida State ran the counterplay 32 times last week at his defense. Talk about Kevin Steele.
Man, again, I talked to Coach Steele before the game, and all he talked about was guys being in the right places, and then being in the right places and making a play. And communication. Those are 3 things he talked about. And you look, all 3 of those things hit negatively in the first quarter. I mean, he made some great calls, some of the plays, but once again, like one of the comments was, we're too light up front. You know, in some areas, we're too light on the defensive line. Those guys, we were supposed to set the edge. Wasn't no edge set with those pullers. Those pullers were demolishing our guys.
Demolishing our guys.
And it was ugly to watch.
They were going downhill fast, man. Those plays were just boom, boom, boom. I mean, credit to Florida State, man. They had that thing humming.
And you had 2 backs that were just actually, you know, and that number 3, he had to actually grind because that was his head coach at Oregon. So, and number 9 was just slippery. So I give kudos to those Seminoles. I hate to say it, but they got us. I mean, the proof is in the scoreboard, so we'll get them next year.
Hey, when you're going to run a play 32 times, it's going to be 1 out of 50% of your offense. Yeah. You can get a lot of reps in on the practice field and get that play ready to go, and they did, man. It was like, I mean, it was like poetry the way they were running that counterplay.
Yeah, they had it on. It's a thing of beauty. That's a drill take. They can show that over and over again when they talk about running the counterplay. Here, let's just pull out that Florida State film. Here it is right here.
Yeah, it was oof. Let's finish it off with Mario Cristobal.
Man, you know, Mario, my classmate. Boy, it's been a tough year, but still believe in you, brother. Still believe that you're going to get this program together. I'm pretty sure you didn't know it was this bad. It's bad. So with that being said, you just
it's worse than anybody thought.
Yeah. Yeah,
I wonder if he knew it was this bad, if he was still would have taken the job. I hope the answer is yes, because I think when he gets this thing turned around,
Mark, $8.7 million. I'm taking this bitch. I don't care if it's bad or good or awful. I'm taking the 8.7. I'm taking the job.
I think when he gets it turned around, and I think he'll be very happy that he's here. Right now, it's probably a little tough. He's watching Oregon. Yeah. Oregon's flirting with. You know, they got a tough couple games though. I think they'll drop another one, but it's got to be hard watching the place that you spent 4 years building, succeeding this year, and now you're at the beginning of what is going to be a massive rebuild. But he'll be able to turn it around quicker, I think, because of the current rules, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. He's going to be able to turn a lot
but you got to bring in the right guys, man.
Yep.
You got to bring in the right guys.
That's where Alonzo comes in, man. Alonzo's going to make sure he brings in the right guys, and Alonzo's going to put the time in to really, look at the thing.
Alonzo's getting a little gray. He's getting a little gray. Must be working hard.
Yeah. All right, LT. Great show, obviously, and we got to thank Caneswear. Guys, go help. The stores and all of us that are involved in activities and businesses around the Hurricanes. It's hard when the team's not winning. They got a lot of merchandise. You see it all behind Lamar there in the store tonight. And there's some good stuff, like that black sweatshirt behind Lamar tonight.
He's calling your name, Gary.
That is calling my name. That is money, man. I like that. Is that a zip pocket in the front, Lamar?
It sure is.
There's a zip there, right?
Yeah,
man, that is really nice. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to go get me one of those, I think. So visit Caneswear. They're open every day. If you don't live in South Florida, just go online, caneswear.com, and they'll take care of you like that. The show's also sponsored, as you see at the bottom of your screen, by the law office of Christine Rosendahl, ESQ, which is Esquire PA. And there you see Lamar's got her card, and this is no joke. Everybody gets in a pickle every now and then. It doesn't matter how great we are, even if you're the phenomenal Wonder Man Lamar Thomas. And you got to have somebody that can help you get out of a jam if you're in a jam. Christine Rosendahl, Esquire, PA, can get the job done for you. If you give them a call at that number, I'm sure they will send you one of the little black cards that Lamar carries around in his wallet.
Yes.
And she'll be able to help you out if you're ever in a jam. 561-512-6199. 561-512-6199. Christine Rosendahl, Esquire, PA at hotmail.com. And we got to thank Mission Barbecue for feeding Lamar Thomas and giving him a lot of French fries to take home. A lot of French fries. Lamar, watch your cholesterol, man. That's a lot. It's all gone.
Hey, look at him. I'm going to die happy. And with a smile on my face.
All right, the Canes are hopefully going to end up in Atlanta after that storm leaves. I imagine they'll be delaying the flight a little bit on Friday. But I think by Friday night they'll get there, and Saturday afternoon, 3:30, they will show up at Georgia Tech. Hopefully the stadium there isn't flooded, and it's gut check time from Miami.
Yep,
no doubt about it. LT.
Yep.
All right, so we want to thank Brian McKinney. Want to thank Benny Blades.
Yes. Great show, guys.
Lamar Thomas. I'm Gary. We will see you next time, and it's all about the U.
Go Canes.